everyday witches emerge from the shadows of secrecy. Broom closets are flinging open and witches are taking flight. Whether you are hiding in your cozy closet or flying with pride, stay for a spell as Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon and her guests share magical moments, stir the cauldron, and debunk misinformation and misconceptions about paganism, witches, and our wonderful world of magic.
Welcome back, everybody. My special guest today is Janese, and she is from Hawaii, and she is a generational Kahuna Wisdom Keeper. Welcome, Janese.
Hi, how are you, Theodora?
I'm great. Thank you for being a guest on my show.
Thanks you for having me.
I'd love for you to talk to us about your lineage in Hawaii and what it means to be a Kahuna Wisdom Keeper.
Yes, I would love to actually. Yeah, so I'm born and raised here in Hawaii on the Big Island, and Kahuna was a creeper in Hawaii. Kahuna means priest, priestess, or shaman. So if we were living back in the day, I would be one of those people in the village. Someone will come to for spiritual guidance, for healing, all those fun stuff. And so it got passed down through my generation, through my mother's side of the family. My grandfather as well was a kahuna, and my great grandmother as well, his mother was a kahuna as well. But doing that in my family wasn't open, it wasn't available, it wasn't accepted. Because of a lot of shame and a lot of fear through the generation that got passed down.
It wasn't acceptable within the family or outside the family?
Yeah, within the family, yes.
Were only a few of you in the know, so to speak?
Kind of, yes. So growing up, it was kind of challenging. My grandmother would come and visit me. I didn't know who she was. She died before I was born. I would talk to her quite often, and I would ask my mother that, hey, this woman comes to visit me. My mom would immediately say, no, we don't do that. No, she would completely shut it down.
So your grandmother passed away before you were born, but you saw her. She came to visit you. Tell us what that was like. As a child, your grandmother came to visit, but this was her spirit.
Yes. The first remembrance of her visiting me, I was about 9 years old, if not younger, 9 around. I was going to bed, and and I would look at the doorway, and I would see like this white figure of someone, and I knew it was female. And the feeling I got from her, it was very warm, very soft and gentle, and I knew that she was a family. I knew she was my grandmother. So I said to my mother many times, like, hey, she came back to visit, or hey, it's her grandmother. My mom was like, nope, shut that down. So my mom wasn't quite raised with her real mother. My mom was adopted, was given away, but she knew her of her mother. So when I went to my aunt's house one day, there was a picture on the wall, and I saw the picture, and I go, who is this woman? My aunt was like, that's your grandmother. I go, she visits me. I talk to her, and she goes, no, nope, we don't do that.
But they believed you.
They believed me, but they also didn't want to accept that I could do that.
They must have known that you were really experiencing your grandmother visiting you.
They did. Not only me experienced her, my cousins as well, they also have abilities as well. So it's not just me and the family, a lot of my cousins as well.
How long did your grandmother continue to visit you?
She continues to this day.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. It is. So what I do is I tap into people's ancestral lineage and bring forth clearing any karmic baggages anywhere that they've been holding on to that's been passed through the generation, helping them let it go, you let it go, and healing the lineage.
So you see more than just your grandmother.
Yes. I also went to school for 8+ years, developing my clairvoyant ability as well.
Can you give us the name of that school?
Yes, it's the Clairvoyant Center of Hawaii. It's originally from the Berkeley Psychic Institute in California by a gentleman of Louis Boswick, and he opened it in the late 70s. A student of his opened her own school, which is the school that I went to, but originally the school is from the Berkeley Psychic Institute in California.
The message you got from your family was that you can't talk about it. But when you went to the school, that must have opened your world because you were with people who believed all this.
Yes, very much. I felt very supported. And to be able to open up my gifts more and understand them more and not be afraid of them because my family was afraid of them. So I was able to break that karmic pattern that was passed down because they were afraid, so that it was challenging for me to open up, because anytime I will open up, I will be afraid. Like I will be afraid that I'll get punished, or I'll be afraid that I wouldn't be accepted, or I would be afraid that I was weird or looked at differently. So being around them really helped me open up that part of me where I couldn't do that with my family. So then now because I've done that for myself, now my cousins and my family are now coming to me and asking me to help them step into their power and opening their abilities up as well.
I like how you word that, step into their power. You stepped into your power when you attended that school.
Yeah. And that was just the most craziest thing, because I was like I was working at corporate job. I was working at the Four Seasons, and I was getting off of work one day, and there was a health fair in the ballroom. And I was like, oh, I'm going to stop in. And there was this woman waving her hands in the air like a crazy person. And I was like, immediately the thought in my mind came, stay away from her. She's weird. But my body and my soul knew I needed to go. So I sat. And she goes, would you like an aura healing? I had no idea what an aura was. I didn't go to school. My family wasn't open to it. So I was like, I don't know. But okay. It was like maybe 5 minutes. She did her thing and she stopped and she goes, okay, how are you? Your healing's over. And my face was like, what did you do to me? She's like, well, she explained to me, we pick up energy in our bodies and we hold that. We're like sponges. So I just helped you clear that out that you don't need to hold on to, and made space for you. Like she reconnected me back to my higher self, and that opened me up. And then I realized when I was going through school, what I was experiencing of stay away from her, that's bad, that's weird, was my family trying to protect me.
What were they trying to protect you from?
The fear that was in my family.
The fear of the unknown?
The fear of unknown, or fear of one of my ancestors, opening up to something, and then fear of that. I just know that my grandfather did not want his children to experience or have that. That's what I was told.
He didn't want you to have that ability?
No, he didn't want that burden to be passed down to his children. So when I decided to want to claim my power and step into a kahuna and reclaim the kahuna lineage in my family, I had to go and talk to him, and he passed a long time ago. So I did a little thing. I went to his grave and I asked, oh, Grandpa, I would like to do this. I would like your permission and support in this. And he totally gave me the support. It was about 45 minutes to an hour away from my home is his grave. And I did a staycation out there. And during the staycation, he told me, you need to come to visit me. I go, okay. I had no plans to go visit him, but he came. So I said, okay. So I went to visit him. And that day, I woke up that day and I was like, Grandpa, it's like raining. It was black. It was raining. I go, I'm going to go to yoga. This better clear up if you want me to come see you. And so I came out of yoga and it was kind of drizzling. I was like, okay. He goes, go get me flowers. So I got him flowers. He showed me exactly where to get them. And then I was at the stop sign and it was either I can go right to go back to my Airbnb or I can go left to his grave. He goes, come to the grave. And I'm like, okay, but it's raining still. So I don't know where his grave is. I just know the area of it. I have never been to his grave before. I walk around and I call my mother and FaceTime. My mom's like, where are you? I'm like, Grandpa told me I need to visit him. She goes, oh, you're finally going. I was like, yep, I'm here. Like, can you help me find the grave? So she helps me find the grave. It stops raining. The sunlight comes in and I'm sitting there like having this conversation with my grandfather. And then all of a sudden, I'm done. I walk back in my car. It starts raining again.
When you had the conversation with your grandfather, did you actually go to his gravesite or you're just in the cemetery?
I was at his gravesite.
What did he tell you?
He didn't tell me anything. What I sensed and what I felt was this acceptance and okay.
Like an okay to go ahead and practice the kahuna?
Yes.
Are you a kahuna priestess?
Yes.
Tell us what that's like. Tell us a little bit about what that means to have access to ancient wisdom.
Well, it's kind of badass, but
okay, I want to hear about badass.
it's crazy because I will go to sacred sites. Because my gift, the way it gets activated is like I need to be in the physical place or I need to be around someone and they trigger it out of me. If not, it sits dormant in me. So once I go to a place, I get information from what I need to do. A girlfriend of mine invited me to, she was actually a client of mine, and we ended up meeting up again and just seeing where we're at for breakfast. And she told me that about a place, and I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, oh, I want to go check it out. So I went down there, and this is a very highly sacred place to where I live. And I got this information of what I needed to clear and help the ancestors. And so I was like, okay. And there was a place here, and back in 1819, there was a big war. It was a war here that set the Hawaiian people on a different course. They abolished their spirituality. They abolished the kapu system, which what they lived on, what the culture was stand for, right? The foundation of our culture. Royalties, many men and women fought for that, and they died standing up for what they believed in. They wanted to keep the old traditional ways. They wanted to be honored for what they did, and they never got recognized from that. So I got guided to what I need to do, how I need to do it, and all the steps of that, who I need to bring around. So we made like this offering basket and we put some things in it, some traditional Hawaiian things in it. One of them was a dried fish for an offering. And we did our thing. We chanted, we prayed, we did it, in this sacred space at the graveyard where they fought, the place where they fought. On the way out, her daughter came to pick her up, and she had a bag of dried fish, and she goes, hey, do you guys want some dried fish? And that was the ancestors saying, we see you, we accept your offering here. And so they gave us some fish when we left.
Oh, what a wonderful answer. It gives me goosebumps.
So that was like confirmation right there that like, okay, I was meant to do that.
This war, it was a religious war?
Yes.
And who was fighting them?
The king at the time, the king and the old kahunas, the ones that wanted to keep the old ways, the old way of living.
And who was fighting against them?
The kings.
The kings.
So we were fighting against each other.
Oh, I see. So there were different faiths.
Mm-hmm. So this happened in 1819, and I got guided to do this right before the solstice and right before that. So it was right in between. At the time, our volcano was erupting. And that day that we did the ceremony, the volcano stopped. So everything was all aligned and was meant to do. So
it was all aligned.
There you go, badass.
That is badass. What happened to you in 2021?
I got diagnosed with breast cancer.
Tell us how you healed from breast cancer.
Well, it is a generational thing. My mother's aunts had it. None of them passed away, and that I know of from it. And what I did is I cleared the energy that was around it and what was around that and why that was. And there was a lesson in there for me because it was on my right breast. It's breast, so it's about nurturing, right? And it's on your masculine side of your body. So it was me having to have boundaries and nurture myself and not nurture everyone else, because that is my nature, is to nurture everyone else and put my needs second. So this was like a really big lesson for me because I needed to focus on my energy and on my healing on myself. At the time, my mother got injured at the same time, her knee, and she needed surgery. And I had to tell her, Mom, I couldn't be there for you to help you go through this because I had my own healing journey to go through myself. So there, it started the path of putting my needs first. And that's how I started to heal myself. I never felt pain ever once during it. I never felt anything. Like, I don't feel it. Even times like I've gotten so many readings by other psychics and colleagues that does this kind of stuff, they don't see it. I like, they don't read it, they don't see it in my energy.
So you healed yourself.
Yes, energetically, yes. So I'm working on the physical body now because the physical body takes time to to do that. But yes, I have no I'm like disassociated that. I have never had any pain in that at all.
So you have to learn balance. Would you say you've learned that?
Yep. Balancing the masculine and feminine energy.
Can you explain to the listeners what that is, to balance the feminine and the masculine energy?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that topic. So everyone is born, no matter what body that you're in. Okay. You're born with qualities of feminine and masculine qualities. So if you are more in your feminine, you will tend to be like an nurturer, overgiver, right? And the important thing about the feminine energy is that she needs to feel safe. She needs to feel supported. She's very creative. She creates life in her womb. So she needs to be protected, protecting the child, protecting creativity, protecting birth, right? Life. And so if you are constantly in your feminine energy, you will constantly create for other people because you're looking for, and this is if you're unhealed. So if you're in the dark feminine and you're unhealed, then you'll be overgiving and you will not take care of yourself because you're looking for the masculine to take care of you.
So is that what happens when a person is in a toxic relationship? They're looking for the masculine. Let's say, for example, a woman who is very giving and she becomes involved with a man to fulfill the masculine side. Would that be accurate?
Yes. So she's giving to save him and pouring herself into him, but she's not getting anything back in return. So it's not filling up her cup because there's a wounded female in there that is looking for to be saved, is looking to feel supported, is looking to be safe, a safe container. Some women will be in their masculine. They can't be in their feminine energy because a lot of times it's through pain. Unresolved, healed pain is why she had to be in her mat to protect herself because some kind of trauma, some kind of, unmet needs.
So when a person is unbalanced and they have more of the masculine, describe that person.
She probably wouldn't trust a lot of people. She has a lot of trust issues. She also has hard time asking for help. she's the one that everyone comes to, and she feels that she has to be strong for everyone else and be everything for everyone else.
So would you say that person is defensive?
Yes.
Am I a good guesser?
Yes.
So describe the man who's not balanced, because everybody has the feminine and the masculine.
Yeah.
Describe a man who's unbalanced.
So a man who's unbalanced, because naturally the masculine in itself, right? He's the provider. He's the protector. He's the one who creates the container so the woman can go in the container and be safe. He creates the structure, the container for her to come in. And an unhealed man, he won't have a structure. He won't be grounded. He won't have his shit together. You know?
So is that the guy who's not employed?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's the guy who can't provide for somebody.
No, because his masculine is wounded. Because his feminine energy didn't get supported as a child or nurtured. So because he didn't get nurtured in the right way because of an absent, female, or because the female, maybe the mother was in her masculine, that she couldn't be in her feminine because she's trying to survive. So he didn't get the nurturing, the support, nurturing, so he can also feel safe and nurtured by the feminine. Or if the feminine was criticizing him or judging him, this will also create an unhealthy masculine as well. That could also work as well. And also, if you're like a total feminine in your feminine coming and you're over nurturing, like we're talking about that, then she will end up becoming like too much in his space, right? Answering questions for him, doing things like she becomes the mother. And he doesn't get to become the masculine, and then that relationship becomes a little sour because now she's becoming the mother in the relationship.
That's what happens when women talk about having children and then they count their husband as one of the children. You've probably heard that. Well, I have 3 kids. Well, actually, my husband's my 4th kid.
Yeah, that'll be accurate. Yeah. I have a son too, so I know. And I don't want to fall into those patterns. As I said, like I am nurture by nature, right? And if I continue that path, then my son doesn't get to step in his power. He doesn't get to, stand up as a healthy masculine. If I continue to over nurture him. And the thing is too, like I had to set the boundaries. So he needs to come and ask me for help. And that's the other thing about men. If they feel criticized by the feminine, they're not going to come and ask you for help. They don't feel safe. This is why the ego is, because they don't feel safe by the feminine to express themselves without judgment, without criticism, or without like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing it this way? Instead of trusting him, and you know what I mean? And a lot of times men want to fix problems for women, which women just wants to be heard. And that is also a unhealed masculine as well, because he's trying to get his needs met by her. By saying like, I'm strong, I can fix this.
I got the power, I'm the king.
I got to prove myself. So if you're proving yourself, then, that doesn't work either for either part.
Not only in personal relationships, but this also carries over in the workplace and socially too.
Everything, how you relate to your family. So it stems from how you're relating. It stemmed originally from your relationship with your family. Why I love doing ancestral work. So if you were raised with a mother who is always in her masculine, you're going to grow up saying, hey, that is okay. This is what I need, who I need to be. And then if every woman was always strong women, you come from a very strong woman, but deep inside they worry a lot. They're worriers. What do you think your behavioral patterns are going to be based on just your environment and what you've seen and taught, were taught and what you were shown?
As a Kahuna healer, how do you help people like that who's not balanced? Their masculine and their feminine is not balanced. How do you help them?
Well, I have an ancestral cleanup method that I use. This is it's a combination of like years of clairvoyant training and, my own journey on healing myself from my karmic wound with my mother, and also other mentors that I've worked with. And what I come down to is I help you release energy from your emotional body. So transforming your negative emotions. Because your experiences, right? Good, bad, past experience, whatever means, like your family that lived in the past, they all have their experience, right? But let's say that experience in the past held fear in it. And then that fear is unresolved. So this fear will get passed down to the next generation, but it will look different. The fear will look different, but underneath that, it's still fear. And we create mental images all the time. And those mental images go out in the world that creates our reality. Those mental images have our thoughts, has our emotions, has our energy in it that will create our action on it. Last night I was with my son's grandfather on his father's side. He was so worried about my son. He kept trying to project his worry, like, no, you need help, blah, blah, blah. I'm just worried about him. I go, he's fine, but he needs to ask me for help. And he goes, no, you're his mother. So he was like projecting his worry on me. And I was like, I'm not taking that. And my son's not going to take your worry on as well. I help people to transform that negative emotion that gets passed through the lineage. Because when you're pregnant in the womb, right, all you're experiencing, what you're going through, your baby can feel that and is absorbing that. So I work with a lot of women, taking them back to the moment that they were conceived and clearing any limits, blocks, agreements, that baggage that they're carrying on from the mother, their father, and from the lineage, so that they can fully step into this lifetime and in their power.
You do great work.
Thanks. And also help them with, I teach them also energetic tools that they can use to help self-sustain and help nurture and, themselves, so that they can be like in their own sovereign being.
How do you teach them that? What tools?
I have like a couple of programs that I have. So it's like a 6-month program, I have a 3-month program. And I help you like to change your energy so that you can get a different result. I do that. Like I teach you grounding. I teach you how to call back your energy. Teach you how to use your, protect your energy. Become more aware of your energy and what you're doing and how the world around you is how you're being affected by the energy around you.
Can you do that remotely, or do they have to see you in person? And how can they find you?
My Facebook, the Kahuna Wisdom Keeper.
And your Facebook group is Kahuna Wisdom Keeper?
Unapologetically you.
Unapologetically you. So if someone wants to find you on Facebook, unapologetically you.
Mm-hmm.
I will put those links in the notes so they can find you.
Please, thank you.
This has been very interesting. When we first came on the show, I didn't even know what we were going to talk about, because I don't know anything about Kahuna Wisdom Healing.
I hope by today you know a little bit more.
And everybody else too. So we all could benefit by learning how to balance ourselves. The masculine and the feminine, because we're both, and we should balance that.
Absolutely. So important. So important. I remember one day I was going to physical therapy and I looked up at her and I was like, I'm going to cry today. She's like, okay, are you going to do that now? I was like, no, probably not. And so I went out and I could feel that it was coming, but there was also a part of me like it didn't feel safe to cry. And normally in the past I will like want to like call like a friend that I knew I could like confine in. And I was like, no, if something tells me I need to do this for myself. So I sat in a meditation and I called in and I seen my own masculine energy. And I asked him, I go, hey, could you hold space and give me the container I need so I can feel safe. So I can, because my body feels it needs to cry. and it doesn't feel safe right now. I don't know, So my masculine did, and I just let it out. It was like the best feeling I could give myself. And it gave me so much power to be able to just step into that for me. Because if I did it with anyone else, I don't think I would have gotten the wisdom from it. And the wisdom that I got from it was, you don't have to be strong. You don't have to carry everything for everyone and be everything for everyone. You don't have to have your shit together. You don't have to be perfect. And if I ended up going to someone else crying, I'd probably not have gotten that wisdom.
I believe that things happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Yes, absolutely.
You agree with that?
I agree.
Is there any piece of advice you can give the listeners today? What you think they need to learn, to know, to think about?
What I just said right there about you don't need to be strong. Being strong doesn't serve you or anyone else. We're here to connect. We're here to share. We're all teachers. We're all students. We all can learn from one another, and that's how we grow.
And we all could be vulnerable.
Yes, and that's a big piece. And it's safe to be vulnerable. That was something I learned that day.
Thank you, Janese, for being a guest on my show. This has been wonderful. It's an honor having you here.
Thank you for having me. It was so great. I love talking to you and everyone else.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon. Have a burning question or have a topic you'd love Theodora and her guests to discuss on the show? Contact her through Instagram at Theodora Pendragon. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And help us spread the word by leaving us a rating and review and sharing it with your friends. See you next time, and may your magic always shine.